My name is Jennifer Berger. I usually go by Jen, but my specific job title is veterinarian and practice owner. It's a very varied job. It stems from routine fun puppy visits where someone got their new baby and we get to do all the fun stuff going over housebreaking and vaccinations and teaching them kind of fun things like that, to emergency sick animal care where there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of pressure to get things done fast because the animal is decompensating or in shock, to end-of-life care where we sometimes euthanize an older animal for different medical reasons. When people have to make choices based on their financial based on finances for their pet's care. My philosophy is that if there's a chance to try, and it's really hard in instances where, especially where the prognosis isn't bad, that finances become part of the deciding factors, and that's probably the hardest thing for me in veterinary medicine. There are a lot of things that are satisfying. A good save is extremely satisfying. When someone comes in and the animal is in shock and dying, and or the prognosis is pretty bad, and we fix it up and we do a heck of a job, and that dog or cat gets to go home, and the look on that family's face when their pet gets to walk out that door to go home, that is probably one of the most satisfying things. I've been saying I want to be a veterinarian since I was 5, and I have not wavered from that since I was 5. So I just inherently always wanted to be a veterinarian from a young age. So there was, my parents had me look at other career options. Even through college, I enjoyed some other classes, but there was never any doubt in my mind. Veterinary school was what I wanted to do, and that's what I wanted to be. Certainly good grades were a must. You have to have decent grades in high school to get into a decent college, and then you need extremely good grades in college because it's a fair bit harder to get into veterinary school than it is medical school, in part because there are so many fewer veterinary schools. On average, the average veterinary school takes 80 to 100 students a year, and there's usually 1,000 applicants for that year, each year, so it's pretty competitive. So grades are important. Other things I did to prepare: I worked for a veterinary clinic since I was 14, so I worked for a vet from when I was 14 until I went to vet school at 21, and then I also worked for a groomer. My summers consisted of trying to get some veterinary experience but also earn some money, so I was often working 80 to 90 hours a week. So that's a good way to get used to it, because that's similar to what your career will be for a while as a veterinarian, is a lot of hours and a lot of stress. So it's that's how I prepared. I mean, I went from working summers like that to a career like that, and I'd say that's the norm, especially for an owner. Specifically for small animals, I can tell you right now that the economy is making a difference. People are waiting longer to bring sick animals in, and there's a percentage of them that are spending less on those sick animals and are unfortunately euthanizing faster than I think they would have a year ago. So the outlook for us, I think, is a lot up in the air. I think it really depends on how things go with the United States, and I'm sad to see it, but I certainly understand it. It's hard because, again, my philosophy is provide the gold standard care that I want for my own pet, and that's very hard when someone can't afford it. Good grades. A 4.0 doesn't hurt. You know, anything below a 3.8 is going to be not looked upon well. Get some practical experience, which is hard. It's hard to get practical experience, and if you can get back to practical experience in a good veterinary clinic, that is important. I think that is one of the most important things in the experience, because I think as you learn things, as you learn the science behind the medicine, and then you start to learn the medicine and the application, if you've seen it, I think even though when you saw it you didn't understand it, it helps everything come together. When you're being taught it, you can then go, oh, that's what they were doing then, or that's why they did that, and then I think that sticks with you better than just having the book learning. Having seen some experience is important, and just having dog and cat and horse and sheep and pig experience, being around those, being familiar. Even if you know you never want to be a large animal veterinarian, you're still going to have to interact with those species during veterinary school and learn about them and handle them some. And it'll make your life a lot easier if you have a little bit of experience with them, even if it's volunteering on a farm and mucking stalls for horses, for that matter. So, you know, anything. So those are the things that I think are the big things, is grades and some practical experience. So, and certainly, I guess I could say too, is drive, putting in the hours and pulling the hours and keeping up, and even if you get discouraged, getting back on that horse and keeping going on is extremely important. There's one in particular that I can think of. He was a Swiss mountain dog that came in with it's called GDV, or gastric dilatation of volvulus, where the stomach rotates. And he came in and I did a surgery, and you actually tack the stomach in place so it can't flip around again. And after he got up and going and went home, we called to see how he's doing, and his owner reported that he was the best he's ever been. I think he probably had some stomach pain. I think things were probably moving around. He was always a little bit of a picky eater, and he did really good after that and felt just so much better. And that was pretty cool to see, because he just, you know, he went from this dog that really didn't enjoy food, that you have to imagine had some stomach pain probably every time he ate, to a dog that, you know, just looked forward to every meal after that. So that was another kind of neat one that we had. So there's so many good save stories. There's too many to even talk about. I mean, you start me going, and I can go on for hours as far as how many ones we save and go home and you feel good about. That's what keeps us all going, is the ones that, you know, get to go home, and people are happy to have him back, and we're happy to see him go home. So those are the cool